probably the most important position in some people's eyes equal to quarterback. In some others' eyes, more important than quarterback is what do the five men up front bring to the table? How does the scheme work for them? I mean, we watched two of the best offensive lines at the professional level, on professional level, um, have some pretty good games. Okay, the Chiefs' offensive line is ranked in the top three. They won the Super Bowl. The next rank, the number one offensive line in all of football was the Philadelphia Eagles, and they made it to the Super Bowl. The number two rated offensive line, the 49ers, was the game before in that NFC Championship game. So, um, offensive line is uber important. Okay, and Miami historically has put out some pretty good offensive lines, units, and in some years put out some great stellar offensive line men. Like one guy is just getting Heisman votes and things of that nature. Talking about Mount Cody, but um, it hasn't been that way. It has not been that way. Whether it's been again, we could go down this road with so many positions. Mark, has it been the recruiting? Has it been the development? Has it been the strength and conditioning and nutrition? Either way, the offensive line production at Miami has had some talent on it, like a freshman, Devon Donaldson, like a first rounder in Eric Flowers, like a borderline. He had a really good season until tearing up his knee, and Jalen Rivers, a big 6'6", 330-pound left guard who was doing very well for Miami this past season. So we've had some spurts. We've had some guys in Orlando Franklin in the late 2000s who did very well here. Brandon Linder, John Feliciano, guys that come to mind that had a little spurts. But as far as a full unit, as far as something you could tip your cap and say, I know who's going to show up. The 6, 7, 8 deep we got of the 6'5" guys standing over there who can't wait to put the other guys in the dirt. Okay, we haven't had that. Now, certain places have a culture of offensive line, Mark. The Wisconsin Badgers, Iowa Hawkeyes, Alabama recently, Georgia's really stepped up as far as being great offensive line. Ohio State has had some spurts. Oklahoma, a lot of people don't realize Oklahoma has had some really nice offensive lines. Won a Joe Moore Award a couple seasons ago in 2019. The University of Michigan, University of Minnesota. Okay, these places have produced, have recruited, developed, and produced some of the best offensive lines. A place that didn't naturally come to mind that when these two pairs of coaches stepped in, it's the Oregon Ducks. They developed some real offensive lines, especially the last two seasons out there with a ninth overall pick as a left tackle turned right tackle who's out here catching passes to go to the playoffs in the NFL for the Detroit Lions. And of course, a bunch of day two and day three guys, but that's where it starts, okay? You got your big first rounder, but are you putting out some fourths? Are you putting out some sixths? Is your center getting drafted? The size, the look, the unit. That offensive line played Wisconsin in a Rose Bowl, and the Oregon offensive line looks better than the Wisconsin offensive line. That's saying something. Now, of course, they don't go out there against each other, but you see these two units, you're like, man, can't wait to see those guys come off the ball. Well, guess what? Coach Mario Cristobal, Coach Alex Mirabal are now in Miami. You may not have known that if you would have watched Miami play last year, what was happening on that offensive line. But some help came, Mark. And that's what we're about to get into. Help has shown up. Let's start out with the transfer. Javion Cohen, 6'4", 6'5", somewhere in there, 305 pounds. Started 26 games at right guard for Alabama State. No. For Georgia Tech. The Alabama Crimson Tide. Okay. And he's coming down to Miami. Now, hold on. The Holsum one thinks he's coming down because it's a great opportunity for him to move from the interior to the exterior, which can push him from a third or fourth round guy to a second, maybe a late first guy if he has a really good season. Because tackles are valued at a very, very high level. And Mark, me and you speak NFL draft really well. The fifth and sixth rated offensive tackle still may go first round because of the importance of that position. Okay. Now, Cohen breeds that as far as being a 6'4", 6'5", and he's in the early 300s, and he carries it very, very well. So I think he may want to make that transition to either that right tackle or that left tackle. This is my personal opinion. For all I know, he could be pushing 320 and wanting to be the role grader right guard and blow people off the ball. But it's just my opinion. As far as making that move from Alabama to Miami, one of the only reasons why I think he could do that is because he couldn't beat out the other two tackles at Alabama, but I think he could definitely beat out and earn a tackle position for the University of Miami Hurricanes. Another guy that came to help, I believe, is the number one offensive tackle in high school football. Some people have liked the young man that Proctor that was committed to Iowa that switched to Alabama. Kind of broke everybody's heart because it would have been cool to see the 5-star stay at Iowa. But hey, he was going to go first round either way. You go to Iowa, you're first round tackle at 6'8", 320. You go to Alabama, you can do the same thing. So either way, I guess he wants to chase that NIL money. Anyhow, Francis Maus from the islands of Samoa. This is a young man that comes in at a 6'5", 330 mark, and it's like when you look at him, you go, "Dang, that's what 5 stars look like." Mark, he came and took a picture, right? His first day on campus, next to some guys that have been at Miami 5, 6 years, and you go, "That's a freshman." Now, to those of you all who are fans of good teams like Alabama, Oklahoma, Ohio State, you're used to guys walking in and like, okay, whatever. Hey, he's a freshman. We'll see him. No. Here, we're not used to getting the guys in the trenches that look like and truly can contribute to the team immediately. Okay, immediately. Now, he can step in to me at every position excluding center. He can help Miami at right guard, right tackle, and yes, even left tackle, in my personal opinion, watching Francis Maui go. I think he could be like an All-American right guard, but I know for sure he could be an all-conference right tackle. I mean, he's the size, the feet, the aggressiveness, the hand placement, the coaching. This guy's going to be great for Miami, and there's just no doubt about it because you look at this young man, you listen to him speak, and again, some people could say, "Oh, you hear Miami fans go hyping up guys." Sometimes when certain guys, you hear that maturity, you see how they carry themselves on the field, you see them, even after games, shaking hands and showing respect to people. They know dang well that they're based on the field, and they're still out there going to make sure they go shake the defensive end's hand or the head coach's hand, and you see them talking to like little things like that. Marky, it shows a different level in a young man. Because he could have easily just said, "Oh, I kicked your butt, you suck," and walk off. No, he's out there shaking hands and telling players that, "Hey, you keep working, man. You're making sure he stops and talks to the head coach of the opposing team while playing for IMG and telling them, 'Hey, God bless. Hope you have a safe trip home,' and blah, blah, blah." That kind of stuff really stands out to me. It shows a different level of maturity when the best player, not a quarterback, takes time to do those kinds of things and knows the importance of carrying himself like a young man who's becoming a man, even though he's the best player on the football field. I could just talk ad nauseum about what I think Francis Mauigoa can be for the Miami Hurricanes, but I'll leave it that he's going to contribute this year, and I believe he's going to be a starter early on. Want to continue to talk about guys and help that's here. Another young man is Okunlola, Pancake Honcho. The recruitment was kind of nerve-wracking, not going to lie to you. What a great play on NIL names and likeness with the pancakes and the pictures is really cool. Size, former wrestler, shot put thrower, discus thrower, focus from a preparatory school, like academic All-American. Guy had a 4.3 GPA. I mean, like, the dude is uber impressive. And he doesn't get talked about enough. Why? Because he happened to be in Massachusetts and playing in that area, right? Now, there comes a point where you see these kinds of guys and you go, okay, who was he playing up against? Good friend of mine, Coach Hayes, likes to say, "Po little Timmy." Okay. Now, what that means is there's some 5'8". I'm not much taller than that, but just a 5'8", 190-pound DN who's just playing his heart out. That's he's going to Penn State to be an engineer, but he just wants to play football.
I
So
was
he's
going to
out.
say there for a second, he's not going to Penn State. Yeah, going to Penn State to be an engineer. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to Pitt to be an English teacher, just like his great grandfather. It's those guys on his film, right? But there's something to be said about a guy that just maintains technique while dominating, regardless of the competition.